Yes.
Now I welcome Ehsan Mohammed.
Have you ever looked back at a moment in your life that felt like failure? That felt like the entire world was pointing at you and laughing at you, only to realize that it was actually the reason something better happened to you. And in that moment, I know, it probably felt like a step back, a backward step. But what if I told you that those step backs were never detours? What if I told you that you were always on towards that path of success? A very warm morning to one and all. A few days ago, I was scrolling through social media when I came across a poem, a free verse poem, quite a short one, by Melody Godfrey. And it caught my eye because of the sheer size of it. So I'll read it out. It goes, I finally found my rhythm when I realized that even the steps backward were a part of the dance. And at first, it seemed like it was talking about resilience or perseverance or responsibility. But later on, when I actually sat down to think about it, to ponder upon it, was when I realized that it's also talking about opportunity. That's right, because, ladies and gentlemen, most of us today are taught to imagine success, or in this case, opportunity, like a linear path, a straight line. As in, you work hard, you get your rewards, you move forward, you work hard, you get your rewards, you move forward, you get the idea. But life rarely works that way indeed. And I'm sure we've all heard of the saying, life is unfair, or life is like a roller coaster. And what I'm even more sure about it is that each one of us agrees to this, because indeed, life is unfair. Sometimes you put maximum effort into a competition, you put your blood, sweat, tears into an event, and when they call out the winners, your name's not first, not second, not even third. And in that moment, you don't feel recognized. And in those moments, it's easy to feel like you've lost a golden opportunity. But as Albert Einstein, the famous theoretical physicist, once put it, in the middle of opportunity lies difficulty. What Einstein understood is that opportunities rarely arrive looking exactly like opportunities. They arrive in the form of challenges, as blessings in disguise, and it is each one of our responsibilities to undertake or overcome those challenges or obstacles and turn them into future opportunities and possibilities for ourselves. Now, this is where the interesting principle of the adjacent possible comes into play. The adjacent possible, it sounds like quite an interesting term. Well, it was first introduced by theoretical biologist Stuart Kauffman and then later popularized by author Stephen Johnson. The idea behind it is surprisingly simple. You take the exact two words and then turn them into their literal meanings. The adjacent possible, the next possible step which you can take. The idea is that throughout our lives, we may be faced with multiple different possibilities or opportunities. And what is possible for us is that we can move one step ahead from that current reality that we face. So to put it simply, instead of jumping directly into the final path or the final step of our journey towards success, because imagine, you cannot jump directly into the future that you want to. You can never, lift that trophy up from the moment that you're standing here right now. But what we can do is work our way towards it. Work your way towards success. Because success is something that has to be earned. It doesn't wait for us. We have to earn it. Now, I'll give you an idea. Visualize this so that the adjacent possible theory becomes simpler. Imagine you're standing inside a large house. And in front of you, there's 3 doors. And each one of those 3 doors leads to more rooms. And in the second floor, the same follows. And so on. So what you can do when you're standing on the ground floor is you can go through either one of those 3 doors and then explore each one of those 3 rooms. What is not possible for you in that moment is to jump directly into the 3rd floor and then explore the 3rd door of that floor. You see where I'm getting through this? Each time you open a new door and enter a new room, you discover even more rooms and even more doors, which symbolizes new opportunities and new possibilities that you build for yourself one step at a time. Now life works exactly the same way. And one of the best examples of this is from Argentine footballing icon, Lionel Messi. Now as we all know, he's having a spectacular World Cup season. And in 2022, of course, 18th December, he lifted the World Cup trophy. So when you think of Messi, these might be the first things that you think of him. All the Ballon d'Ors, the World Cup, and football immortality. But in 1987, the year he was born, was it like that? Was there a Lionel Messi, a footballing legend that we all know of today? At age 11, he was diagnosed with growth hormone deficiency. It's a very serious condition to be diagnosed with at that age. And it stunted his growth, and then it was posed as a major threat towards his footballing journey, towards his dream of becoming Argentina's best footballer. And for a lot of people, the harsh reality is that that would have been the end. We would not have a Lionel Messi if he didn't work towards the success that he has earned today. But is that what happened? Did he give up in that opportunity? Never. That's not what happened, ladies and gentlemen. You and me both know that very well. He went to his local club's footballing tryouts, earned his place in the first team, made Barcelona's coaches travel all the way to Rosario, Argentina, scout him out, take him back to La Masia, earned his place in the academy, then earned his place in the first team, and he became the Lionel Messi, the GOAT of football, as we all know today. But perhaps the most interesting and motivational part from Messi's story is not the success, rather it's the setbacks. Picture this, the year is 2016, the Copa America final, Argentina versus Chile. It goes on to penalty shootouts. It's Messi's turn to take the penalty. He places the ball on the spot. He does his run-up, he shoots, but he misses. He skies the ball. And in that moment, he felt devastated. He fell to his knees. And later on, it was revealed that he had taken this decision to retire from international football. So did his journey end there? Because if his journey did end there, we would not have the World Cup winner that we would have today. After a lot of persuasion from fans and even critics alike, he came back and he drew his legacy as the person we all know today. Now, coming back directly into the idea of the adjacent possible. Opportunities are connected. Just like the doors that we mentioned in the house previously, each opportunity or each door leads you on to another one. And perhaps this is something that we misunderstand about a lot of successful people today. Because take Steve Jobs, for example. When we think of Steve Jobs, we think of his famous Apple 2007 iPhone presentation, right? But what we don't think of is all the rejections that he had to face. All the pressure from his higher-ups to stop working on this idea of his and to focus on what he's being told to do. What we don't think of is all the societal pressures, all the reasons that could have ended this man's career right there. But is that what we know of him today? No, ladies and gentlemen. As Steve Jobs once put it, you can never connect the dots moving forward. You can only connect them when you're looking backward. Each of these paper balls that you see here represent each step, each opportunity, and each possibility that you've overcome, that you've taken into consideration to reach the position where you are today. So whenever in life, ladies and gentlemen, whenever you're feeling down, whenever you feel like the entire world is laughing at you, whenever you feel like you're being pointed at, when you're feeling left out, just take a look back at you. Take a look at how far you've come. and how far you've sacrificed, and what all things you've sacrificed to reach to this position where you are today. Because that's all, ladies and gentlemen, that the Adjacent Possible explains. Is that each step, each opportunity leads you on to that path of success. And whenever you feel like the journey is endless, always remember, even the small moments that you cherish, we call success. Because nobody can predict the future, and I'm sure of that. But what each one of us can do is work our way towards creating a better future for us and for those around us. Because if you take an example of a lot of people today, they wait years, maybe 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, waiting for that golden opportunity, for that golden moment, which they can fulfill in order to achieve their dream idea of success. They wait days, weeks, months, years, nothing happens. And one day, what do you know? It's the end. Because opportunity never waits for anyone. Opportunity only arises for those who take action. Because action, ladies and gentlemen, action creates momentum. Momentum creates new possibilities for yourself, which then turns into new opportunities that you can fulfill for yourself towards the path of success. And a lot of us students here today, our minds may be plagued with the questions, what stream do I choose? What university do I attend to? What career do I pursue? And while I argue, yes, those questions are indeed important, the problem comes when 16 and 17-year-olds are expected to figure out their entire lives from this point today. Because the adjacent possible theory suggests something else. Instead of figuring out the next 20 years of your life, instead of stressing upon that, what we students should instead be doing is to take the next step, to open the next door, to learn the next skill, to play that new game that you've always been waiting to. Even those simple steps can take you miles and miles ahead, ladies and gentlemen. And if you look at the world today, we live in an increasingly digitized world. There's a lot of websites that we can learn new skills in. There's a lot of websites that we can hone our hobbies in, etc. Because in an increasingly digitized world, we can expose ourselves to new opportunities. We can throw ourselves out of our comfort zone just to ensure that we are facing ourselves in different environments. Am I right? Because the most important point of this is that, ladies and gentlemen, you never have to wait to be chosen. Because the people who seem the luckiest are never always the richest, or the most loved even, or the biggest, or even the smallest. The people who seem luckiest are always the ones who make use of opportunities, who take upon every challenge that they are being faced with, and the people who learn from their mistakes. Because as discussed in my talk earlier today, growth isn't always linear. Sometimes you may have to move forward, sometimes you may have to move backward, or sometimes even sideways. But what you do have to keep in mind whenever you're feeling down is take a look back at how far you've come. Take a look back at all the things that you've sacrificed and all the things that you've made use of to get to the position you are here today. Alright. And once again, as Melody Gottfried once said, maybe the steps backward were a part of the dance as well. The future isn't something that we should wait to be created. Rather, it's something that we create for ourselves and for those around us. One step at a time, one possibility, and one opportunity at a time. Thank you.